It is a big pleasure for me to be sharing Estelle, and one of the things one of the things that I would definitely have to say is how dependable she is as a person, helping us out with base, yeah, and also being here live with us. It has been a tremendous help that she has given. So thank you. And if I think about Estelle, immediately what I'm reminded of was her talk about mentoring that she did for base conference for base in Let's Touch Base, and this already talks about a lot with her experience in global HR. So she has more than 20 years experience in global HR. She has spent most of her career working in fintech, IT, banking industries, all of which are within scale ups and looking at their philosophy and challenging the status quo. um, Estelle is the co-founder and CEO of Mentorjam, and not just that, she is a certified real foodie and fitness nut, and a bit of a witch doctor, which I share. She loves blending potions in her spare time as she dabble with essential oils. So with that, Estelle, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. And it's really strange because we sit in the same room, so we have to do this whole mute, unmute business. So, thank you very much, Lana, for that lovely introduction. And really nice to have all of you here. I recognize a couple of names already, and the power of hopping it's powerful, but doesn't allow us to see who else is in the session. So if there's anyone else who have not introduced themselves yet, really nice if you could make yourself known. I also want to make this session a little bit interactive as well. So I do have this second screen business going on. So if I'm looking to my left or right, it's because I'm trying to also look at the comments that are coming through as well. So so I'm not also checking my Facebook, by the way. Anyway, so we get started, and I need to share my screen. Let's get this going. Right. You can all nicely see my screen now, which looks like it is in fact the case. So this is a topic that I absolutely love because it touches on so many aspects of my profession, which is HR, because it's not just about the act of hiring, but it is about the act of hiring for success. And so many scale-ups, and I have worked with many across the years. So many scale-ups really do not spend enough time on thinking about their hiring strategy. So today, hopefully, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. I don't like agendas, and I don't like fluffy start to presentation. So I like an action plan. So I'm starting with an action plan as opposed to an agenda to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be covering. A quick introduction, and then we talk about what is recruitment strategy, why you need one, how to create one, and then I'm hopefully going to give you some tips that you can also consider. And there's some time for Q&A. I do like to have Q&A in between, which is why I've got this crazy screen system going. And so if anyone's got any questions or anything throughout, do type them in the chat. I will be able to see them, and Lana's also keeping an eye out for me. Right, so who am I? This is a visual snapshot of a little bit about my journey, my background, and currently, and just a blend of stuff I really love. I'm from South Africa. Originally, I left South Africa in my very early 20s, and I spent the best part of 17 years working in the UK, and have now live in the Netherlands, where I've been. In December, it'll be 6 years. I've got 2 children. Gabriella, 7. She keeps me absolutely on my toes. She looks like a 7-year-old, but she acts like a 15-year-old. It's pretty crazy. And then my little boy, Oliver, who's 4, and he's just the little bottom of my heart. It's very sweet, smart, stubborn little boy. And then my crazy Kiwi husband, who likes to dress up. I say I love people, but I'm also an HR professional, and I say but there, but I spent most of my career working in HR in one way or another, in some sort of a startup, scale-up space. I have the growth, the little plan stick, because I love to build things, to watch things grow, and really be a part of the planning and the strategy of putting things together and kind of seeing it blossom and grow, which is also why mentoring is something that I absolutely love, just as a concept, but also love mentoring people and love working with raw talent, and people who've got a real, drive to learn and achieve and do cool things. Tony's Chocolonely, I do absolutely eat most of my daily calories after 9:30 at night. So big fan of Tony's, and I really enjoyed the keynote yesterday. It was great to hear about Tony's journey. Love wine, and of course, with all those calories that I eat at 9:30 until 11 o'clock at night, I do need to do lots of exercise to keep healthy. And I live by the saying to have never underestimate the power of a positive mind. So there you go. Quick introduction. If anyone's got anything that they want to share with us in the chat, I'd love to know who else is here, and just a little quick bit of information on the kind of companies that you are either involved in, or who you are a part of, or building, or any startup founders or anything. If there are any in there, please do drop us a line in the chat box. Then, so I have a startup scale-up story which I'd love to share with you, and this is my favorite. I have a few, but this is my absolute favorite. So I left officially the corporate world at the end of 2017, where I spent the 6 years prior to that working for a company called Cloudreach. Great business, absolutely loved my time with Cloudreach. I joined them when there were only 21 or 22 employees, so really early on. And it's a great interaction because I knew one of the co-founders. We used to work together at Enron many years ago. So we connected at a Enron reunion, which I wasn't going to go to, but my husband, now boyfriend at the time, convinced me that it would be a really great idea to go to this event and just see some old familiar faces. Anyway, so I went to this reunion, and there I met James, and we were chatting, and what are you doing? Oh no, him and his mate have got the startup, and they are going to dominate the world. They're going to be the cloud provider or partner, whatever it was at the time. I don't know, that's a great vision. They're going to be that leading in the world. I was like, oh, fabulous. Yeah, I work with startups and scale-ups. Love to be involved in that. Let's have a chat. So we met, and the first thing they said to me was, we don't do HR. So you're an HR consultant, we get that, but we don't do HR. We just want to just hire lots of people and just make it work. Like, perfect. It's the kind of company I love working with, because I don't do HR either. So it was great. And that was kind of the basis of our relationship. Their vision was to really take the business to the next level. But like, seriously, for these 2 individuals, for them just having, 50 employees and kind of being an okay company here in London, there in London, was not part of the plan. So I said to them, right, we need a real good, solid plan that we can then take the business and really leapfrog it into the future. And that does mean we have to really think about the kind of people that we hire, who do we want to work with, the kind of the culture we want to have, because at that point we were really doing some really great kind of projects around building culture. And Liam did a fantastic talk earlier today, which I loved, thinking about culture and mission, company mission and vision. So if you have a chance to look at the recording, I suggest you do that, because it ties in quite nicely. So we spend quite a lot of time really thinking about our culture. And this is something I really want to stress for you today. If you're in that very early stage, thinking about your culture and how you the kind of people that you want with you, surrounded you in the business, now is absolutely fantastic. It is the time to be doing that. So anyway, we did lots of great projects around culture building and missions and vision, values and all that kind of stuff. But the main thing is we had a very clear plan. And it was a plan that between the leadership team, and we were a very small team at the time, it was really, really easy to understand. And it was absolutely aligned with not only our company culture, but also where we wanted to take the business. And because of that, we were absolutely able to deliver on that vision that the two co-founders had for their organization. We grew every year, doubled our headcount, and when I left the team 6 years later, I left a team of 520 employees. We had 18 offices globally, and it was a fantastic journey. And there's some fantastic and great learnings that I've taken from that. So lovely story, and definitely one of my favorite kind of scale up stories. And there's lots of great things that I can share with you offline if you wanted to learn more. Let's see, we've got some more people joining here. Nice. So I wanted to actually ask you some questions, which I think is on the next slide. But I'm going to jump back to some of the previous ones, just to encourage some interaction, please. So who here has a recruitment strategy already in place, or who thinks, who's thought about it but haven't actually done anything about it, or you have a plan, you didn't stick to it for whatever reason, or who, do you think it's necessary to have one at all? So I'd love to hear just a little bit from you guys in the audience, what your thoughts are around these questions. Come on, lad. Anyone want to venture some thoughts around this? We have some ideas, but not really fully planned, okay? Yeah. I do see that quite a lot, especially in the kind of the early stages of an organization where they think, oh, we don't need to spend too much time on this, we need to make money. Yeah. So then I'm going to jump back just to the topic on recruitment and the dilemma that we face when we think about recruitment as a whole. So it's not just recruitment, screening, hiring, off we go, and this continuous circle. It is in fact a lot more than that. So when you ask CEOs or founders what their biggest stress is, the top 3 things that keep them up at night, or things that they're really stressed out about, hiring talent, it definitely falls in one of those top 3 things. I mean, there's some other things as well, but you would always find hiring talent, finding talent really falls into that top category in terms of things that stress co-founders, founders, CEOs. Yeah. Hang on, my screen is frozen. Great technology, thank you very much. But yeah, so that's something that really, really keeps them. So why do you think, if it is such a big stress, that people do not actually put a real good plan in place, or think it's not that important? Well, because it's not that straightforward. Well, it is that straightforward, but if you think about, I need to hire 5 developers and this, that, and the other, and where do you start? It's often just getting started that is is the hard bit, that first step. So let's think about a hiring strategy and what that really is, because this is, if you start using the word strategy, then people think, oh, it's a really big job. It's going to just take so much time and planning and There's just so much involved in it. But in actual fact, a hiring strategy should be really, really simple. It's a very clear plan that you write that involves things like who you want to hire, when you want to hire, and how you're going to hire them. Very simple. And it has to be tied to your company objectives. So if you think about your company's values, their company culture, the company objectives, it all needs to link together. And then the third important point to consider, it has to be easy to communicate and easy to follow. You're not solving world peace. You are thinking about hiring your colleagues, bringing new people into the business that you want to work with. So a clear plan, what you want to hire, who you want to hire, when and how, tied to your company objectives, and make it really, really easy to follow. Let's see if we've got any other we have a full recruitment strategy. Yeah, COVID, definitely it has caused a lot of breaks during the full recruitment. Yeah. Hiring through your network, we're going to talk about that in a bit. Fantastic. Nice. So if we think about why it is so important, in actual fact, why I want to check with the audience. I think it is important to have a recruitment or a hiring strategy in place. So if anyone wants to venture some points, that'd be great. Why do you think it's important to have a recruitment strategy in place? Anybody? I've got five. In fact, I've got 6 reasons here. Yeah. Keep you focused on end goals, absolutely. All processes, yeah. All processes do help, absolutely. Yeah. Targeted, yeah. Bias, absolutely. Big one. Long-term goals, absolutely. So in my experience and my summary of why I think it's important, reducing costs, company culture, employer branding, diversity, inclusion, team dynamics, staff retention, really, 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 all 6 of these are big topics and ones that we can probably spend tons and tons of time in terms of discussing. But reducing cost, do you know how expensive it is to hire and rehire and rehire? You're spending all this time and effort with lots of people involved in the business, all their time and effort involved in bringing new employees into the business for them to either not be a good fit or for them to not stay very long or, for them just maybe to, be unmotivated and kind of be a bit of a rotten apple in the mix. So really thinking about and having a plan in place to help you with keeping your costs down. When you get it right, it'll save you lots of money. Company culture, great topic. Hire with your culture in mind. Really bring people into your business who align with your company culture. Employer brand is a topic I love specifically, and something that we did really, really well at Cloudreach. We had some very clear company values, and we hired so we built our entire recruitment strategy based on our 4 core values. And we used our employer brand extremely effectively by communicating our employer brand about our company values externally. So we used in all our campaigns, and people really, really lived the company culture. So even when candidates went through the candidate journey, they would pick up on various elements of the the company culture throughout the entire process, because we had such a strong employer brand. It's just beautiful. So really think about how you wrap your business up and what that looks like to the outside world. Diversity and inclusion, it's a big topic right now. And it's not just, the obvious things, but also diversity of thinking, thought, not hiring lots and lots of mini-me's. You don't want tons and tons of the same people walking around the office looking and thinking the same and talking and saying the same thing. And that's different to company culture. Really think about the diversity from every different element. And if you build a recruitment plan that is really, really solid, you're able to pick through all the biases and understand all the biases that various people that are involved in the process have, and not hire against that. Team dynamics. It really helps just general team spirit and team dynamics if, of course, we are all aligned and, kind of all bought into the same vision and dream and values. And staff retention. You get it right in the beginning, and I can guarantee you that your staff retention will be fantastic. So yes, these are the reasons that I think it's important for you to have a solid recruitment plan. Do you have any comments or questions or anything at this point? Anyone want to add anything to this? Do you think I've missed anything that you'd like to see on here? You think it's important? Yes, hiring the right people can make your life as a business owner much easier or more difficult. Yeah. Also really important to understand where you source people from. That's super important. And you can have various different strategies around that. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So where do you start? If you can, take a piece of paper and write down a couple of things as I talk, because I think it's really important for you to, I like to think you can leave here with something other than just having listened to me for an hour. Sorry about that. And then, but where do you start? Really think about, get everyone involved in the room. When you're a scale-up, it's still very possible for you to do that. It's possible for you to get your team in the room together and really think about the skills that we have. Think about the budget. Think about the goals that you have. Understand your current headcount. Look at the gaps that you have within the business in terms of skills. What can you do to complement each other? Where do you need to fill in gaps? And before we get to the last point, I want to talk about the financial picture as well, because that is maybe not always something that you will talk about everyone in the room, but having a really good understanding of how you will spend money in terms of recruitment. So it's not just about the salary or the benefits. It is about the recruitment campaigns and how you advertise. Do you use a third party? Do you do the recruitment in-house? When you do it in-house, what do you need to consider in terms of advertising and campaigning and things like that? So really think about what you have to spend, because the money you spend now, you will save later. So it's really important for you to have a budget in place, or a good picture of your financial situation when it comes to hiring. Align with your company goals. I talked about that a little bit already, but not just hiring for the sake of hiring or thinking, I need to hire 5 developers to do this, that, and the other, but really think about the goals. Why, what skills do you need? Why do you need to hire that person or those skills? And understanding your current headcount, understanding those roles that you currently have within the organization and how they fit together, and think about the gaps, the skills gaps that then come through. There's some great exercises that you can do as an organization in small teams to think about skills gaps. And if you want to know more, then let me know. But there's some great exercises that you can do that to really help you fine-tune job descriptions and your recruitment strategy. And then determine how you as owner or founder will be involved. This is a key point. It does not mean that you have to be involved in the entire process. There are elements that great, important for you to be involved in, and there are other bits that you can definitely outsource to someone in your team or work with others along the way. But I do know the benefits there are for a candidate to also meet founders and owners throughout the candidate journey. So make sure that when you build your candidate journey, that there are touch points for you to get involved as well. Any questions on this section or anything? No. So I've got some best practices and some lessons learned. It's a good one. I like lessons learned a lot. So I've got 6 circles here: attitude, drive and vision, research, evolve your hiring, embrace change, and intuition. I would strongly recommend that when you think about a candidate sits in front of you, think about their attitude. Hire for attitude first, ability second. And this is something that at CloudReach, we, from day one, that we absolutely embraced. Back in the day, we had something called "Would you have a beer test?" Would you have a beer with them test? And I entered the business as, I think I was the only or the second woman, and I was like, hang on a second, this is not going to work. I can't just have a beer test. There has to be something better that we can come up with. Anyway, we evolved it a little bit, and then, of course, I love wine, so there's like, would I have a wine with them? Yeah. But anyway, the point is the attitude. And is this someone that I would want to sit next to every single day and work with, and then think about the ability, then look at the CV and the skills, etc. But the attitude is absolutely key. Drive and vision. Look for someone who's got clear drive and who buys into your company vision. As a startup or a scale-up, you don't want to be dragging people along. You want people who have the same drive and ambitions as what you have as a founder or a business owner. Research, key. Candidates have to do their research. You cannot move forward with a candidate who comes unprepared. They have to do their research. They need to know about your company. They would have had to look you up on Glassdoor, on the internet, on LinkedIn and wherever, and really, really, really have done their research and have a really good reason for why they think that they're a good match for your business. So really, when you build your interview questionnaires, think about the kinds of questionnaires that would really tease things out of a candidate in terms of the research they've done. Evolve hiring. This is a key point. There is a point that you have to kind of go back and review your hiring strategy. Is it still working? Is it working? Do we have to adapt things along the way? Do we have the right interviewers along the way? Are we using the right interview questions? Really, really think about your hiring process and make changes. Don't be afraid to make changes. But as long as it's clear, it's communicated to everybody involved, and it doesn't cause confusion for the candidate. Very clear candidate journey throughout. Embrace change. When you're in kind of growth mode, a lot of change happens regularly. So thinking about the kinds of candidates that really are good with embracing change. And this session is specifically designed for the scale-up in mind. So it might change a little bit for large organizations, but when you're in that growth mode, candidates that embrace change, really good to have people like that on board. And then the final point, again, talking straight to the hiring managers or to the founders, gut instinct. Trust your gut. Don't make an instant hire. Do not rush the hiring, the offer. When you get to that point where you follow the process and you feel really good about where you've at, and then really be quiet and think about you follow your gut. Think about the what do you feel? I don't know how else to say that, but it's a real intuition thing. So yeah, think about your gut instinct. Any questions from anybody? Very silent audience, of course. Okay. So I've got, over the next 2 slides, I've got 10 points that I thought would be nice to give you just some strategies to consider in terms of hiring and places that you can potentially look for candidates or anyway, some recruitment strategies to consider. I talked about the employer brand and how important it is to have that in place. Doing a little bit of a session on your employer brand, really key, and make sure that that is built into the entire employee candidate journey. Creating hiring campaigns that reflect your company ties into the first point. So you take that employer brand. How do you translate that into your campaigns? What are your job descriptions, the language you use in your job descriptions, the methods, the avenues that you use to advertise your jobs? Ties into the next point, social media. Pick the right channels for the right types of jobs. Not all jobs are suited for LinkedIn. Not all jobs, most of them are, but not all of them. Think about some other social media channels that you potentially could be advertising in. If you're in the food industry, for instance, you might not be looking for candidates on LinkedIn. You will definitely need to find some other avenues to source. So think about social media and how you use that to your advantage as an organization. One that I absolutely love is the candidate journey. I love traveling. So for me, anything that's got a journey with things happening along the way, and I've got a map and I've got my whatever. I can't say compass because you don't use compasses any longer. But anyway, you've got your map and your plan and everything. You translate that into the candidate journey. From a candidate's point of view, what is that journey that a candidate will take to enter your business? That journey needs to be rock solid, awesome, amazing, great experience. And we're going to talk a little bit about what happens after they join the business, because the two are very interlinked. But the candidate journey, super important. Really think about the touch points, the communication, the amount of communication, the language that you use, everything, all that is really built into your candidate journey. Invest in an applicant tracking system. Can't stress that more. And it's not just for GDPR, but it's for consistency and keeping all information in one place. Applicant tracking systems have come a huge way since they became popular some years ago. So now you can invest in a really, really good applicant tracking system to help you build not only your candidate journey, but also the interview kits, the feedback tools you use, all sorts of different things, and it keeps everything out of your inbox. You do not want tons and tons of CVs clogging up your inbox. Absolutely not. In fact, this point should move right to the top. It's super important to invest in a really, really good applicant tracking system. Then touched a little bit on the job boards earlier. Explore niche job boards. There are loads and loads of job boards that you can use, not just the obvious ones. But if you're hiring a niche job, I'd really highly recommend that you consider looking at some other job boards that you might find in your industry that could be relevant. College recruitment, love this. If you've ever been to a milk round, they're great. I know in London they're really popular, which is the Silicon Milk Rounds, where they bring in the graduate recruiters. Perhaps think about joining some career fairs or careers days at universities or colleges. It's a great sourcing tool. Think about perhaps interns that could kind of do a couple of internships with you and then bring them into the business. Absolutely great way to bring staff into the business. Then there's the passive candidates, a great one, and this is slightly harder. These are candidates that you might have met along the way or at a function or an event, keeping in contact with them. A good recruiter has some really great strategies when it comes to keeping in contact with passive candidates and letting them know that you're there or interested or might be hiring. And then conduct awesome interviews. So important. Whoever does your interviews, they absolutely need training. You cannot just let someone loose to do interviews. No. There is a skill and art, again, when it comes to conducting a good interview. And using an applicant tracking system will really help you build great interviews and great interview questionnaires and questions. And consistency. So again, awesome interviews, really consistent in terms of the questions that you ask candidates, because that means you can then kind of do a summary and a much better feedback. And then last but not least, closing the deal well. Ties in a little bit with don't rush it, not to rush a hire, but really think about that conversation. Who is making the offer to the candidate? What are they saying? What are they including in the conversation? Do not leave a candidate hanging. Really package up your offer in such a way that it's a very positive conversation for the candidate and not one that leaves them with questions. Anything that anyone wants to add or ask at this point? We've got some time for questions before I move on. Let's see. What are your thoughts on taking interns in the hope of training up? I love that. Really, really good. We've got at Cloud Retreat is a great intern training program where we brought in 5 interns and we trained them underneath a couple of graduates. So I did kind of like a mentoring situation between them, which was really fun. Everyone loved it, and in actual fact, it's now a strategy that they still use. So absolutely, big fan of that. Bear in mind that interns do need a lot more in terms of touch points and in terms of guidance and so forth, but it's a good strategy. Steps you'd use to create an employer brand is a great question. This really ties in with your the questions that the sessions that you would use around your employee culture. Really think about your core values and what that looks like. So the employer brand is something, like I said, it's the wrapping around your business, so what that looks like. So the various bits of language that you use to communicate what your company is all about. So creating a strong employer brand means it's really consistent. And everybody in the business really feels attached to it. It shouldn't be something that when a current employee reads something about your company online and go, really? I work there? Hadn't noticed. Totally not what it's like in here. It should be so part of the business that it's everyone kind of feels the brand. But yeah, in terms of the steps that you use, that will definitely tie in with the process around creating employee culture and the vision, mission statements that Liam was talking about earlier. That's a big topic. Shall we hire people who are like us versus opposite to hire people who complement? In startups and scale-ups, shall we hire people who are like us versus opposite to hire people who compete with us? Don't think I understand your question properly. So you definitely, is this a link to kind of the diversity question, Christina? Yes. So no, is a good point. And yeah, thinking about the skills that you want to bring, it should definitely be complementing, but also challenging. I really love the idea of bringing people into the business who bring in a bit of a challenge on the status quo, challenge a little bit in terms of how certain things are done or a product roadmap or something like that. So not necessarily kind of lots of the same, but people who really bring in a bit of a challenge and someone complement the skills that you currently have. Cool, good. Nice, thank you. Nice to see a bit of interaction. I have to make sure the screen doesn't disappear while I'm talking. So, success. You've now hired somebody, and I know this kind of goes to the next step a little bit. So we're kind of going beyond the hiring bit, but I think it's equally important in terms of what happens next. So once you've hired somebody, it shouldn't just stop there, because if we think about the topic hiring for success, that is a continuous journey. So taking the candidate journey and really translating that into your employee journey, really, really vital. So I've got 5 bits here which I'd love to cover. So in terms of onboarding, thinking about what that first day looks like. Someone turns up, and I'm not suggesting that you have, branded T-shirts and branded water bottles and everything. It's all perfect. This will come along the way. And when you talk about building your employer brand, this is part of that journey. You see, really thinking about their first day and what that looks like. It's not great for someone to turn up on their first day and they don't have an email address. No. It takes a few seconds to set up. Make sure it happens. Introductions and, making them feel comfortable. We're doing pretty much everything online these days. So even more important for you to think about what that first interaction looks like, because your new employee is going to be ready at their desk at 9:00 on Monday morning on their first day, and they're going to want to start with something. Really think about what that looks like. Which takes me to the next point, is the buddy. Great idea to give them a buddy in the business, someone that you can immediately connect them with on their first day and say, hey, this is so-and-so. They'll be your buddy. They're going to help you with your onboarding, and they're going to help you feel really, really comfortable very quickly. And they're going to be here to answer any questions you may have. We don't have stupid questions here. All questions are welcome. This is your buddy. Culture. We talk about culture a lot. This is not something that you just plant a seed and it grows. It's something that should be part of everything you do, be it the recruitment process, the onboarding process, or the continuous employee journey. Culture should be front of mind. I've got the 30, 60, 90-day journey. Like I said, I love traveling, I like a plan, so I like to know where I'm going. So it's not just about that first few days, it's about what happens after that. And often as a growing company, you don't have all this mapped out properly, and I'm not suggesting that you now go back and think about, my business is going to fail because I don't have a employee journey. No, but really just think about and even just some basic milestones that you can already build into your employer journey early on. So thinking about that in terms of feedback, how you give feedback and how you how feedback's received, all sorts of different things. But there's some great things that you should be building into your 30, 60, 90-day journey. And then mentoring, as you know from what Lana said, mentoring is something that I feel really passionate about. Really think about perhaps extending the buddy into maybe a mentor. It doesn't have to be the same person, probably won't be the same person, but really think about what you do with your employees when they've entered the business. Do you connect them with a mentor? Who could that potentially be, and what that would look like? Any questions or anything that anyone wants to add or ask at this point? So just going to be wrapping up in like a few minutes. No, nothing. You should. Thanks. Your aftercare journey. Absolutely. Yes. Nice. So just as a little wrapper, 5 things for you to stay focused is developing a hiring strategy, promoting your employer brand, really think about that, thinking about the passive candidates, how you land them, how you interact with them. It's a great sourcing tool, and then integrating D&I into your business, into every part of your journey, not just recruitment, but throughout the whole business. And then taking advantage of applicant tracking software, which for me is an absolute key one. Any questions from anybody? Had some interaction from the audience. And I like that statement. If you plan to fail, or you fail to plan, you plan to fail. No questions from anybody? No. Well, I think that I've given you all 10 minutes to get back to some lunch or something, because I do... Oh. Hang on, I do have some questions coming. Is there a hiring rate? Great question. And how fast should you scale them? A hiring rate, that is a very broad point, and there's no wrong or right there. But what I will say is that it's not as fast as you think. And that is something that I truly believe. And when you have a really good plan in place and you have, you've built your candidate pipeline, then if you do need to scale up very fast, or you do need to hire a couple of people really, really quickly, then you do have some passive candidates that you can tap into. Like, how fast should you scale? How long is a piece of string? It's definitely relevant to company size. Market will determine that. In terms of your customers, thinking about their needs and how you work with your customers, or what needs you need to satisfy on behalf of your customers. Definitely flexibility, and like I said, review as you go along. So if there's anything you can tweak along the way, then absolutely do so. Because it's not set in stone. It's not you've now created a plan and this is it. This is now the plan, and it's not going to change. As with all things, review, refine, review, refine. So have the element of flexibility built into that. Absolutely. Nice. Thank you, everybody, for joining, for giving me your time.
Estelle, for so many things to think about right now. And I know for those who have joined this session, there's so many nuggets of wisdom that we can take in. So thank you very much for all this. And again, please feel free to connect with Estelle through LinkedIn. You can also, have you put your booth already? There's also, There's also ways for you to connect. Well, you can check out Mentorjam as well. So there's different ways of connecting with Estelle. And again, this is also one of the things that we invite our participants. So not just to join the sessions, but really connect with our speakers, those who are also here in this virtual space. So feel free to connect with everyone and start that dialogue and those conversations going.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. And for your interaction and participation. Then I hope to see you again and enjoy the rest of the conference.